Hello everyone, I am finally back after a 5 month holiday. Took a quite a long break from these videos, but now fully back with my PC and all the gears. So hopefully you'll still remember me and I'll come back to get in the habit of making these videos again. So please look forward to them. But for today, I've got a DQT JP news, a bit belated one, so August and September, and I'm going to talk about the top three news as usual. Actually, there's only two major news, so top two really. But the first one is about the summer holiday event. There are so many good units recently released in JP that ones to look out for. So I'm going to talk about two of the main banner units, and then talk about the Blossom units that we've seen from DQ9 Reminiscence. So those will be covered. And the final note is that please do like and subscribe. If you find this video useful, it's a tremendous help for me to make these videos further. Usual disclaimer, certain information outlined in this video contains a forward-looking information, which means this is only what we've seen in JP and we might not get it in global. So let's talk about the summer event. So summer event itself looks pretty standard, just a bit of farming and standard A units to farm, etc. So let's talk about the banner units mainly. So first banner unit is the Summer Sorrow. My early verdict on him is 4 to 4.5, especially for PvE. So he's very good. I'm not going to read out all of the skills, so you can read that with a pause. But in essence, he's a super upgraded version of original Sorrow, but converted to crack. And also he gets a lot of the features that An2 has got. So it's a kind of bit of a hybrid of Hero and the Dark Lord. Also, he has a new feature, which is in a way like a follow-up kind of auto attack. So think of Mam's kind of follow-up attack, but he does that on his beginning of a turn instead of follow-up to somebody's attack. This is a non-element, non-reflect physical attack, so it's really good. And then as I said, apart from that, he's a hybrid An2 and Sorrow, but crack version of it. Some of the downside I've noticed, which is first of all, he has no viable typeless stack like original Sorrow, so in this regard, a little bit more similar to Anne, which, as you know, Anne's a little bit struggles with Darkonium, a little bit struggles with killing Diamond Slime, for example, so he's in similar vein to that. He has a AoE a bit wider range than Crimson Crack attack, which is really good. Also comes with a barrier, additional barrier. It also comes with a dash of 4 tiles. Now, that can be desired in some situations, but it might basically expose him to enemies' attack in some real fight situations. So that's one thing I've noted. He does have a Frizz and Crack Force, and I think it's the first time that a unit has a Frizz and two types of XX Force. But unfortunately, this is not an auto cast, so he has to use his first ability. Now, the ability does increase tension as well, so that's kind of good and bad, but a little bit disappointing that it doesn't auto cast these kind of force stack like others do. Also, his auto attack that I mentioned is really powerful. It's non-elemental, so it's it hits a lot of enemies in range at the beginning of his turn, probably second turn mostly. Problem is though, if you make, say, enemy asleep, charm, or confused, this can wake them up. So that's a real, bit tricky to use. So do note of that. One thing, last thing I'll note is that he's weak against Zap and Zam. And as I'll talk about later, Barbarous and the Greynor just received a really good Blossom. So you're going to see a lot of them. Sorrow's going to be quite weak against them. So I'll talk a bit more about that later. But all in all, I think very, very good unit for PvE. Very good use in RTA if used well, but with some bit of caution. Next one up is Summer Rosa, or Rosary, as you would call it. My verdict on her is a 3.5 out of 5. Now, she's really good. That she's a very, very much a bang version of Seraphy. She has the AoE 9 squares attack. It's 2 hits only, but very similar, which also increases martial damage. She casts auto cast major heal when an ally or self is attacked, and up to 3 times. So very, very similar to Seraphine in regards. The key difference is that she has a AoE heal, but it also increases tension up, and the range 1 to 3 bind, which is a very high chance of bind. So all in all, really strong unit, and together with the fact that he has agility and all buffs at the beginning of the fight. But really is just a side grade for Summer Seraphie. And don't get me wrong, Summer Seraphie still is a very strong and viable unit. It's also a 1-year-old unit. So for to expect this kind of side grade unit in the latest banner is a little bit disappointing. Also, she has no damage reduction, which means quite weak, quite fragile, and she's weak to Wush and Zap, which are two very common elements in JP as well. Now let's move on to DQ9 Blossom, and put them in order of rating, but with a caveat that all 4 Blossom units are actually really good. But I put them in order just for fun. So on at 4th, I put Godwin. His verdict is 2.5, probably closer to 3 out of 5. What does he get? So he gets a single target Zam martial attack, which also has added effect of increasing evasion. He also has a auto revive, which recovers 25% HP, which I would say is the key feature of this Blossom. He has an increased starts battle with increased move for our first 3 turns, and also he gets kind of a little bit weaker of Wrath, but easier conditional, lower than 50% HP. So what do I think of him? He's very good. He revives, has a very good synergy with a Curse on there. So those of you who know Godwin, applies 100% applies Curse in range if not immune. So which is really is the widest and strongest Curse attack. But he can trigger that twice because he can revive and triggers and then dies again and triggers that. So very high chance of cursing enemies. The problem is, of course, Curse a little bit sucks, but c'est la vie. And then also he has a mini Wrath of 30% damage increase, which really synergizes well with the revive. So those are the 2 good things. The downside I noticed is that new skill, check the damage, is only barely stronger than his original AoE straight line dash attack. So it's kind of, you use this single target if you only need to hit 1 enemy and don't need dash. You would use, and also if you wanted evasion. And then if you wanted a evasion and a single target, then this new skill is better. Now speaking of evasion, he does get 1 step of evasion buff every time he uses new skill. So in theory he can stack up to 3 evasions, but he needs to hit 3 times, which is a bit too far too slow for reliable evasion. For anybody who's been using Pop or Old Sorrow would know 1 step of evasion of 20% is just not enough. So all in all, he's a very decent Zam attacker for a wave 50, but Curse is random, but it's such a wide range and it triggers twice. So if orange is on your side, it can do a big deal. Next up, I placed him 3rd is Barbarous. I rated him at 3.5 to 4 out of 5. Now I really struggled because the next 3 units are pretty neck and neck. But I put him 3.5, a bit lower than other 2. So let's look at his skill. So his new skill is like a cross shape that you see on the right. It's a AoE, but it's a kind of random multi-hit. So think of a Nocturamus AoE range, but it drops 3 times and damage is spread across the units that's in range randomly. Which also means that if only 1 unit in range, all 3 hits will attack only a single target. And then also this has a 20% chance of decrease Zam resistance, which accumulated in a 1 turn, it can really lower the Zam resistance if you're lucky. 30%, also he comes with a new 30% damage reduction when HP is about 50%, so it's a little bit like Solo. This is great. Also has a 20% damage buff, also great, and then 5% stats up, really good. What do I think of him? He's actually gets the really good new passives and really has a good synergy. Actually, if you just look at the passive that he gains, is actually better than the Graynor. I put him higher in ranking. But let's look at these passives. So he's, as I said, there's a damage reduction is really works well with the auto heal that he already had. So for those who don't know, Barbarous heals massive heal after his HP falls below 50% and also does damage increase. So it really synergizes well with this. The new Zam skill is actually, it's something that you want to use it on a single target. It's not hard to aim at a single target because it's such a long range, and also he has a move of 3. But when you do target one unit, it's actually really strong damage. And especially with his original that power rises grimly, which basically is like a master strength for a breath, and does 50% of damage buff. So put together, I think I saw like something like 3,000 damage on turn 2 on a weak against weakness unit. So significantly strong, non-miss Zam attacker in that regard. Because this new skill is a multi-hit, it's really good against Summer Sorrow, who has 2 last stands. The only downside I saw is that he still remains to be a single element, but as a Zam attacker or a single element comparison, I think he beats Graynor. So all in all, he's a very good Zam attacker. Passives are fantastic, only behind because of the other units because of element locked. But great summoner and also larger killer in that point. Speaking of Graynor, I put him in the first tie to the next one. So my verdict is a 4 out of 5. So he has a very similar Zap version of skill versus the Zam version of Barbarous. Multi-hit, AoE, chance to reduce Zap resistance. This one is a very unique one. So when his HP falls below 50%, in terms of it gets a auto cover, which lasts 1 turn, and then it just lasts 2 turns. Also comes with 20% damage reduction. And also he has a restore 10% HP at start of turn, and an increased HP. So what I think of him, his new Zap skill in similar vein to Barbarous is very strong. And, in a straight line, previously Graynor couldn't, reach a 4 square right in front. So he essentially gains a longer range. And together with the original Zap Breath, which also still remains very strong. Still very good dual element breath attacker with the Frizz as well. The auto cover is a bit of a funny one. Why would you add a cover on a attacker? It's a very odd one, but it does come with the 20% damage reductions, and it provides more pros and cons. It's great against the new Summer Sorrow, similar to Barbarous, and lots of healing. For those who know, Awakening Fire provides 10% healing when hit as well. So a lot of survivable options. So excellent upgrade altogether, really versatile. The auto cover is a bit of a clunky one, but you benefit more from 20% damage reduction than unwanted cover in some scenarios. So really good Blossom altogether. And lastly, the put on the tide, the first of the Graynor is Corbus, the normal form. So what does he get? He gets a 10 square AoE dual element whoosh and Zam spell damage, very similar to Ashtaroth. And then actually this is whoosh and zap, my typo. A 50% HP restore when HP falls below 70%, similar to Ashtaroth but only once. Cleanses status element once, similar to Solo but only once. And last stand once, and HP plus 50%. So all of those individual passives are something we've seen. It's not the strongest of the passives that in the group that's in the same vein, but collectively I think this makes it excellent as altogether, with auto heal once, CC cleanse, last stand, and also remembering that Corbus comes with an ignore small damage. All those put together makes him extremely versatile, very survivable, very high damage dealing unit. Also, he gets HP 50 node and general upgrade on HP from Blossom, means that he can ignore, theoretically speaking, nearly 700 damage. Anything that below than 700 he can ignore in the in arena conditions, PvP conditions. So that's really significant. And then, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but we're going to see a rank 9, so more HP. And this is one of the few units that benefits significantly because of these passives that he's got. Only downside I would say is the spell. His skill is actually reflectable. His resistance to zap. So what that means is even if it's reflected, he ignores one element and probably takes no damage to very little damage on the second one. Altogether, you don't need to worry too much against bounce, but just be cautioned that he won't do any damage against them. So he's the kind of Badger Astaroth who has many advantages of Astaroths too. Very strong against multi-hit damage dealers, and then benefits most from the rank 9 in future. Just want to say that we've seen a huge change in meta in JP. There's been a lot of really good odd-term agility buff units, which are all good all round, like new Breath Hero and S-Stark. And we also saw really good 2 Blitz units that come out, which has a battle start agility buff, larger, and the boy hero, I think he's called Rex in JP. So yeah, do expect the meta to change in future very, very quickly. Next one, and final one, is the Misc update, miscellaneous update. There's 3 things I want to talk about. So the first thing is that there is a what's called the 3rd anniversary real RTA. It's a 1 season only, so 1 month. The difference from previous ones like Mindini Cup is you get 50% more points for winning and standard loss points if you lose. So what that means is it's extremely easy to get to Legend. And for the first time in JP, they saw 3,000 people hit Legend tier. So, maybe if we get this in global, we might just hit 1,000 people, hitting Legend. And obviously, that it's a make or break 1,500 gems. So it's going to be people are going to be probably busy with RTA with this one. Had exclusive rewards like a banner ticket with the guaranteed S, with the lot of the latest units, orbs, and some of the exclusive gears that that made a comeback too. The second point I want to make is that after the 3rd anniversary RTA, we get a new season RTA as usual, and just been released is that this crazy new weapon. It's a claw that's only behind Beastmaster claws, the 2nd fastest, but has an omni damage buff of physical, magical, martial, and breath. So really versatile, very strong claw. And together with that, usual RTA rewards includes this time Sid Scrolls. And last point is quite a huge one. We just saw rank 9 released in JP. Generally perceived negatively by JP community. Just people are tired of collecting resources, and this adds to that. So just prepare more gold and resources are going to be needed to upgrade your units in future. And that is all, and thanks for watching. And I do owe you guys some guide for a new upcoming TNT treasure and trapdoor. It's quite a hard content to, so what I've been trying to do is I do have a lot of information, but I wanted to make sure that I deliver the correct information or don't mislead you to invest in wrong units. So that's why it's been taking time, but I'm making one, and we'll be releasing one before or actually after the TNT is released. So do watch the space and look forward to that. But apart from that, thanks for joining in, and good to be back, and hopefully see you in another video.